Good evening and welcome inside Laura's Bar and Grill. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. I'm Tristan Hobbes. I'm joined by the head football coach of the Bryant football team, James Perry. The Bulldogs coming off a 49-46 victory over Robert Morris on homecoming and reunion weekend last Saturday at Burns Stadium. It was an outstanding atmosphere, one of the best in all of the FCS. And Coach, I know you love homecoming, and what a special day it was, and what a win for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, thank you. It was start to finish. It was a great day. You know, we came out the tunnel, and it was just great to see all the alums lined up. A great turnout, great support there. We appreciate it tremendously, and then to take the field, and like you said, in a great environment to play homecoming in.
Coach, you mentioned running out. It was kind of like running through history for your team. They lined up the alums from all the past 20 years as we celebrate the 20th year of football, and they got a chance to run through that. And for the Ivy League has always seemed to be that league that remembers tradition so much, and you're starting to ingrain that here at Bryant, and so many guys back on Saturday. How much have you enjoyed kind of delving into the Bryant history and what we've done here?
And it's remarkable. Each week goes by, I meet new people, and each one of them just loves the school, loves their experience. And for me, I'm actually meeting more and more guys from the beginning stages of this program who are now, 40, bringing their kids to campus, homecoming. It's fun to see all the recent grads, but it was also fun for me to see some future Bulldogs as some little kids are tagging along with their dad to homecoming.
And the Bulldogs, a 49-46 victory over Robert Morris. Coach, a game that was exciting from start to end. You guys held 3 different leads of 18 points, but then used a late game drive to overcome your only deficit. Isaac McCrae's 26-yard touchdown run, and then Tomas Wright's second strip sack of the day, helping to preserve the victory. Just maybe your initial thoughts on Saturday's win and what was going through your mind on the sideline.
Sure. I mean, it was, one of those games where we knew it was going to be a hard-fought battle. Robert Morris, terrific team. They're very well coached, and they kind of have a new energy. And we saw that on Saturday. I think, every bit of challenge that we thought we were going to have, we got. And it was fun to see the kids respond. And obviously not only get the drive, score the touchdown, Tomas gets the strip sack, and then anytime you finish the game in victory formation, you did something right.
Coach, now that's 2 straight weeks in which your team has led for a majority of the game, but then faced a little adversity in the second half that it's had to overcome. How happy are you with the fact that your team has faced that adversity and overcome that adversity 2 straight weeks?
Sure, and I like the sideline. For me, it's only year 2, so you're still trying to build some things. And I've mentioned it many times, even on the show a few times here. It's hard work's kind of in our DNA. So when we're facing adversity, I don't have to worry about, which way the sideline's going to go. I'd like to increase the efficiency of in some of the things that we do, so we don't have to do that all the time. But it's nice when you can, get in a tough position and know that the sideline's going to be ready and respond properly.
Bulldogs, a 49-46 win over Robert Morris. Coach, after calling the game on the sideline and watching the game in film, what are 3 of your takeaways from Saturday? What did you like the most about what your team did on the field Saturday?
Yeah, I think as a group, we're starting to feed off each other a little bit. I think offensively in particular, when we do get turnovers now, we're able to capitalize upon that. I think, even from a special teams perspective, and I talk about pace of play a lot. I think the kids are starting to understand the power of pace of play, and towards the end of the game, we were able to, have that come through for us. And I think also the fact that we play a lot of guys. For me, a big takeaway was when a guy gets hurt or dinged up, we are at the place where I want us to be, which is next guy in. And for us, that's so critical that we have this big, deep roster, and that's a real source of strength. So we were able to call upon that a little bit on Saturday too, and it's nice to see the kids respond.
Coach, first thing you mentioned, it was exactly how the game opened up, your team building off of each other. Your team punts its first possession, but then strip sack, touchdown, fumble recovery, touchdown, 14-0 Bulldogs, just like that off of 2 turnovers, one from your junior defensive end who's having an unbelievable season so far and continues to get better each week, and then the other fumble forced by your kickoff man, Gavin Rowley. That's exactly what you wanted, and you got it within the first 5 minutes of the football game.
Yep, that's pace of play right there. You know, we're always looking for scoring opportunities, and I think from a special teams perspective, it's really nice, I think, to see the guys, Darryl Jackson really leading a charge there, that we're looking to score. And even when we cover, we're looking to change the game that way too. We're not a counterpunch organization. So the kids did that very well, and anytime you see the thing turn over like that quickly, and you're able to score that quickly, that's Bryant football playing fast.
In those 2 drives, both drives 11 plays. I think you had 3 scoring drives of exactly 11 plays on Saturday. Is that what you want, or do you want them shorter?
Well, you take them how you get them. No, I think the efficiency end of it is really important. So when you're able to sustain an 11-play drive into the end zone, you are obviously very efficient. So as we become more efficient, that'll happen more often. And I think each week we get a little better on that. And, after the game, I talked to the guys about we're a hungry football team, which is nice, too, because it's easier to coach after a win about how to get better. And in that case, it means how can we be more efficient so that we can sustain these drives.
And I know you just mentioned that Coach Jackson preaches to these special teams guys that that part of the game is very important. So did it not surprise you that Gavin Rowley was the man that got his helmet on the ball and knocked it free on the kickoff?
Yeah, and that always surprised you a little. Although Gavin's a terrific athlete, and it's fun to have kickers and specialists who are real football players, and he showed he's a real football player there by knocking the ball up.
And then your team coach, you mentioned efficiency. Again, another efficient day on the ground. Over 150 yards for the 3rd straight week. Contributions from all 4 of your running backs. Again on Saturday, Adeboboye, a big 29-yard touchdown run. Isaac McCray, a touchdown run. Brendan Femiano, a touchdown run. That's great separation. Alfred Dorbor, 2 huge runs in which he was elusive in them. It has to make you happy.
Yeah, and that unit, interestingly, I'm putting them on, at the same time. I think it's a good reflection of one of our core principles. We're going to play the best 11. So, right now it means playing 2 tailbacks quite a bit. And Alfred, he had a couple runs pop, but he did a really good job blocking too, in the ways that we asked him to block. And I think that's a really good representation of what I want everyone on the team to kind of see, is that there's opportunities with this many plays. The more opportunity to play, that if you can contribute, we're going to put you on the field. And if it means 2 tailbacks, it means 2 tailbacks.
Contributing, Declan Burt, 4 catches, 92 yards, his first 2 touchdowns of his career. One of them a 60-yard touchdown. You don't often see that from tight ends, but he showed another level of speed down the sideline, and a great downfield block from Shelton McNeil in your wide receivers. That's been a key all year long. They've done an outstanding job with downfield blocks. Declan, your tight end position, him and Hayden, you must have been pleased getting them activated on Saturday.
Yeah, and Declan's a kid. He's a young guy who's played a lot of football for us, but it's kind of nice. You have to remember he's only a sophomore, and he's a very talented kid. So I think as time goes on, we're going to be able to use him more, and it's a nice fit, playing fast, spreading the field out, having tight ends who can run is something that's really important to me. So yeah, it was nice to see him get off the snide from a touchdown perspective, but he's been building towards that, with his performances leading up to it.
Talking with head coach James Perry about Saturday's victory over Robert Morris. We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk about the defensive effort and the special teams unit from Saturday's game against the Colonials. After that, we'll talk about some interesting news coming up for the Bulldogs in 2020. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield.
Put up by this Robert Morris offense today, and you saw Declan Burt in space. Another huge block by Shelton McNeil. Hard enough to get receivers to block, to get a freshman to come in and do it, although he's a First and 10. They give it off to the left side. McCray takes it out wide. He's got another first down and more. McCray into the end zone from 26 yards out, and the Bulldogs are back in front, 48-46 as Isaac McCray. Substitution. They don't have timeouts. They've got extra players on the field. They got everybody off, but Bryant should have an easy one here. And they get it out to Burt wide. He reached and he scores. Declan Burt among the chaos is the adult in the room, and he's able to reach across the goal line and grab himself.
Welcome back to the Bryant Football Coaches Show here in Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield, Rhode Island. Tristan Hobbes, head coach James Perry. Bulldogs coming off a 49-46 victory over Robert Morris on homecoming and reunion weekend. The Bulldogs, their defensive effort, the first possession of the game for the Colonials and the last possession of the game for the Colonials, both strip sacks from Tomas Wright, the NEC Defensive Player of the Week, as well as the New England Gold Helmet winner this week. He had 4 tackles for a loss, 2.5 sacks. Coach, in 2016 as his freshman, he had 6.5 sacks. You saw the potential. Another strong year as a sophomore. He seems as if he's totally grasped his abilities as a junior this year. An unbelievable game on Saturday.
Yeah, Tomas is a guy that you can really count on his effort. You know, and I've now haven't been here over 2 years. He always stood out. He's in tremendous shape. You know, when we do the conditioning drill, you can count on him being in the front. You know, he's a very strong and physical kind of specimen guy, but really it's his motor. So, you know, the fact that he's where he is right now and is a credit to him and the hard work he's put in. And it's fun just overall. I mean, Tomas is doing really well in school. He's just a kid who's, you know, doing a lot of things right now. And it's fun when guys who work hard kind of get to reap the rewards of that hard work.
And not just sacking the quarterback, but stripping the ball from the quarterback, something that your team is trying to do more of, create turnovers. Another key part of that is sometimes you get a guy down, but you'd love to get the ball free. He did that twice on Saturday.
Yeah, and in critical moments, like you said, I mean, I think especially, you know, at the end, there's an element of our mentality, which is I'm in better shape, and I'm going to be able to get to the quarterback, and then when I get there, I'm going to be able to make a play. And, you know, he certainly did that for us. And, you know, I think collectively that defensive group has that mindset. And,
Coach, for this defensive unit, obviously the 46 points, maybe you would like to cut that back a little bit. What did this team see in Robert Morris on Saturday that will make them a better unit going forward? What can they learn from Saturday to make them better going forward?
Well, I think, you know, some of the things, it wasn't so much learning. It was, you know, Robert Morris is a very good football team. You know, and that was very clear on Saturday. They're good up front. We knew that on film leading into the game. I expect them to have a very good year because, you know, they're very physical. Their tight ends are very physical and kind of dynamic. So, you know, they're going to pose a lot of problems for a lot of people. And I think for us, as we get better each week, I know, you know, Kevin Kelly, you know, myself and Darryl will all take this week to look at ways that after 4 games we can get better. But certainly to go out there and get a win against a Robert Morris team like as good as they are was a good thing for the defense.
First time this year we've really seen almost like an option quarterback. They ran that a couple of times. A good way for your defense to see something different throughout the year.
Sure, and you know, everyone nowadays sprinkles that in. So you know, whether it's a steady diet of it or just having it in your back pocket for situational football, it's important to make sure that you're prepared for that. And you know, our guys yesterday, heck, we were out there running around that field. I'm really kind of happy about that because we look at the bye week as an opportunity to get better, not to recover. So seeing those defensive guys running around, offensive guys, special teams, ready for their new challenge.
We mentioned the forced fumble from Gavin Rowley on special teams resulted in a short field that Bryant capitalized on to make it 14-0. Also, great contribution from Luke Sampieri. First game as your PAT and field goal kicker, went 7 for 7 in PATs. Never an easy spot for a kicker, his first career game. He gets 7 point after attempts. Sometimes you only get maybe 1 or 2 in a game. His first game, he gets 7 opportunities, knocks them all down. You must have been happy with that.
Right, yeah, it's like getting fouled on a three-pointer, right? You have to shoot three.
Exactly.
No, yeah, Luke's done a really good job. You know, he loves Bryant. He's kind of been a fun guy to have on the team, and gotten to know him a little bit, knowing how talented he was, and put him out there and to see him respond well was nice. And I expect him just to keep getting better because he's a talented kid.
Bulldogs a 49-46 victory over Robert Morris, and as Coach mentioned, this is a bye week for the Bulldogs. They are off this week. They head to Duquesne on October 6th for a big Northeast Conference game out in Pittsburgh. So, Coach, 4 weeks in the books. What do you think of your team?
Yeah,
what's the synopsis right now?
You know, I love coaching these guys. I'm really proud of where we are right now because I think we've definitely taken a step. One of our goals this August, leading into the season, was to be better than the previous August, and we definitely did that. We practiced a lot harder and better, and it's materialized through 4 weeks. I think our first 4 weeks of this season are better. I think one of the challenges that we face moving forward is we played so well at the end of last year because we practiced at such a high level throughout the season. And throughout the challenges, the physical rigors of a 12-week season, you've got to embrace how we practice if it's going to work. And that'll be a real challenge because the kids have done so well up to this point. So now, see if we can do it for 7 more weeks.
Anything surprise you in the first 4 weeks, Coach, about your team?
No, you know what? I'm very pleased with where we are, and I think you can never count on anything and take it for granted. But I had high expectations for him, so I have high expectations for him. The rest of the season, and I think they'll meet them.
Bulldogs 3-1 after the first 4 weeks of the season, 1-0 in Northeast Conference play. A bye week coming up this weekend before the Bulldogs head out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We'll take our second break, and when we come back, we got some exciting news for Bulldog football fans out there for the 2020 season. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield.
Force player that turns the ball back to the inside.
Missed tackle out there on the wing and a killer one. And the inside handoff goes to the left, turning it up and turning it in as Brendan Femiano. He's gotten just a few touches today, but boy did he ever make that one count as he becomes the bracket, a sophomore out of East Windsor, Connecticut. Walker hit, loses the ball, it's loose. There's a flag down on the field. Bryant's got it. We'll see if it stands.
I think they're going to say it stands, and I think there was going to be an offensive holding, and that's what they needed, a big play, and they got the big play from the Bryant defense.
In the backfield, Panago still on the field. Motion with Constant, they get him the ball. He's trying to take it out wide. Constant makes the first man miss, leads, and he's in. Bryant scores on the receiver sweep to Gene Constant, and he finds his way to pay dirt for the
Welcome back to the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill here in Smithfield. Tristan Hobbes, head coach James Perry. The Bulldogs 3-1 after the first 4 weeks of the season, getting set for a bye weekend this week before resuming conference play on October 6th out at Duquesne. So, Coach, that gives us an opportunity to talk about a few extra things here for the Bulldog football program, and this is some breaking news here. Wanted to announce it this week and get some excitement around the program as we go into the bye week, but in 2020, Bryant will be playing its first ever game against an FBS school against Central Michigan. That is an exciting news for us to share with you guys, and I know, Coach, you're excited about the opportunity for your football program as well.
Yeah, I sure am. It's hard to express how excited, to be honest with you, because, I think as this program keeps growing and we want to be the best, that's the natural flow. That, right now, our league schedule is as good as it can get from an FCS standpoint. I mean, we're playing the best of the best. This year, we'll probably play one of the best Patriot League, one of the best Pioneer, one of the best, from the CAA. And, the natural evolution is you get to challenge yourself against an FBS opponent, and that'll be a blast for myself, the staff, and the players, at least the ones young enough to actually do it. But for the program, it's a great thing.
the FBS, the Football Bowl subdivision, so that's the Power 5 schools and what have you. The Bulldogs playing their first ever FBS school in 2020. It'll be Central Michigan. This will be, Coach, your first opportunity against an FBS school as a coach. There is some excitement in that because it is an opportunity to be on a big stage, to play against a team that is at that level and to kind of get an experience of what it's like.
Yeah, and I think, we're recruiting guys that want that. I think there's an element of when you start reaching this point in the program where, you want to tell a guy who's a senior in high school, you're going to play the best. And, for the guys that were, even the young guys on this team, that's exactly who's coming to Bryant to play football right now. Guys who believe they can play at that level and really relish the opportunity to go and challenge themselves that way.
Obviously, 2 years down the road, there's only so many questions I can ask you right now, but what kind of...
Defense still there, Ron?
No. What kind of challenge and what kind of does this bring to this program and to kind of to you and to kind of the recruitment process? How much does that kind of play into it all?
Sure. I think the biggest thing for us is it is a natural step in the evolution of a program as you want to win an FCS national championship, right? You want to be the best. That's what people do. They challenge themselves moving up at all times. And, I think for us, it's a great reflection of the support that we've received, whether it's, from President Makeley to Bill Smith. I think everyone's got the same vision there, and, I certainly share that vision. So we're very excited about it.
So the Bulldogs getting set to face Central Michigan in 2020. First time the Bulldogs will ever play a member of the FBS. Again, that's in 2020, not 18 or 19, but 2020. I don't want to get you guys concerned about things that are happening next week. Bulldogs have a bye week, but in 2020, they are going to play out at Central Michigan. Exciting times for the Bulldog football program. Next up on our little kind of outside the box topics tonight, because we have a bye week. Coach, I turn 32 tomorrow. Where were you when you were 32? What role were you in your coaching profession, and what were some of your aspirations when you were 32?
Sure. Well, first thing first, that 9 years ago, my boy Sammy was 1 year old, so that's probably the first thing that comes to mind for me as time flies. And I was at Brown at the point, and that was fun. It was a fun point in my wife and I's life because we were both working there, a place that we knew very well, both being undergrads. So yeah, 9 years ago. Since then, I got I filled in Sammy with Nate and Rose. I got 3 more kids, and I was probably a year away from going to Princeton. So you got to get as you start your course, you just keep in mind I already had one, and I got 2 more coming. So put a little pressure on you, I guess.
What was that time in your life like? Obviously, being a young coach that has aspirations to kind of to do this for your career and living in Providence and having your first child.
Yeah, I think for me, what I always wanted was the opportunity to just, stay in a college environment where, my family would be, comfortable and be able to enjoy all the perks that go with being a college football coach. And here I am 9 years later, and was a perfect place to do that. At Bryant, it's such a welcoming place for Abby and the 3 kids and, the schools in this town. Even here we are, at Laura's, it's just a really supportive place. So, 9 years ago, you flash forward to, being the head football coach, at Bryant.
Time flies.
What a great thing to have, happen. So, good luck to you in your next 9 years, right?
I hope my 9 years lead to I won't be a head football coach in 9 years, I don't think, but something down the line, hopefully. We'll take our final break here. We'll come back with the final segment of our Bryant Football Coaches Show tonight here at Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield.
Repeating myself, but they've struggled in that area.
Wilson still with it, kicks it outside, wide for McNeil. Can he find the goal line? Yes, he can. On the stretch, Shelton McNeil doubles it up for Bryant as they go touchdown, turnover, touchdown, and take a commanding first quarter.
It's not quite quick enough to stay with
We've only called Nizavachia's name twice, but boy, has he made it count both times. Big gainers for first down. Speaking of big gains, popping this to the outside and taking it on in is Adebaboye. Daniel Adebaboye cashes that.
Welcome back to the Bryant Football Coaches Show, presented by Laura's Bar and Grill here in Smithfield. Tristan Hobbes, head coach James Perry. Bulldogs getting set for their bye week this week. They head back on the road on October 6th out to Pittsburgh to take on Duquesne in a big Northeast Conference matchup. Coach, you mentioned earlier in the show about not recovering on your bye week, but attacking your bye week and getting better. How does your team do that in the next 5 days?
So really, right now, it's about taking care of ourselves for the next few days. So what that means is looking at self-scout film, hitting the practice field tomorrow. We'll go no pads Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And Tuesday and Wednesday are usually very physical practices for us. So that's a little different. But from a get your heart rate up, sweat, play Bryant football, play fast, that'll all be the same. I think we all do inevitably have a little more downtime. I mean, tonight I'd usually be sprinting back to the office to watch some film. I'll go home and kind of relax with Abby, have a little glass of early vineyard wine or something, just chill out. But, on the other side of it is come tomorrow, even though the day's a little shorter, we're going to elevate our heart rate. We're going to perform Bryant football, take care of business that way, and turn our attention to Duquesne after Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So this is all in-house for the next really 5 days. It's about how can we get better, take care of ourselves, then worry about what we got to do in the future, as far as game planning for Duquesne.
I'm sure you have a pretty good idea of what your practice plan is going to look like for tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. What are some of the top topics that you want to stress with your team in this self-scout, this self-inflection part of your season? What are some of the things that you're hoping to get across and stress to your team in the next 3 days?
Well, to kind of give you a little insight into like an example of that is like we'll look at the sack tape. It's always Ben Martin's least favorite part of the bye week, but so we'll literally just watch every sack right after each other. And if there's a common theme, a defense is attacking us in this way, we want to get ahead of that. So because Duquesne's gonna, they're a very well coached football team. They're gonna have, Jerry's gonna look at it and say, well, this is what's causing them problems, and they're gonna try to attack us. So if we can get ahead of that and then get that information to the kids, we got a good group. I mean, they're gonna respond. So anytime as a coach you can look at that, that'd be important. Another example would be, if there's a certain coverage scheme on defense that we're having one particular route is hurting us. It's not like we live in a vacuum. These future opponents are going to see that same film. So take a look at that, try to address it, get a chance to look inwardly in all three phases of the football game, and then challenge the kids to look at each day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as we correct those things, embrace them and get yourself at a high octane level, even though you don't have a game on that upcoming Saturday.
You might have answered this question already, but it's my last one for the night, Coach. This bye week is a success if
we are in better shape. I think one of the things I think the kids, what we give them, they'll embrace. But I actually met with Craig Buckley, our strength coach. He's done an amazing job getting these kids' fitness levels up, their strength level up. But we need to be in better shape come Friday than we are today. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there'll be no pads on, but there'll be a lot of sweating going on. So I look forward to watching the kids respond.
Head coach James Perry, this is the Bryant Football Coaches Show. That does it for our show tonight. No game this weekend as the Bulldogs have their bye. They are back in action on October 6th, and they head out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to take on Duquesne out in Pittsburgh. So we're excited for that one. We'll be back next Monday to preview that game against Duquesne. ask Coach if the team actually did get in a better fitness level by Friday. We'll see if that worked out for the Bulldogs next week here at Laura's Bar and Grill. This is the Bryant Football Coaches Show presented by Laura's Bar and Grill in Smithfield. Have a great week, folks.